Looks like there's more solid information out. Like if you're going to make, a lot of people are saying, where do you put your money? Now, actually, cash has always been, you always want to have some cash, of course, but cash is your bulk of your savings is not always definitely not the smartest thing to do. Actually, equities, bonds, or anything pretty much over the long term is a lot better than cash. But here's another thing, because I pointed out the other day about, I think it was Grantham Management, put out that expects a large correction in the market sometime in the future. Now, this has been talked about for a long time now. I know since George Soros made his huge bearish bet on the S&P back in mid-August of 2013. Here we are in March 2014. It's going to be about 9 months later or whatever it is, right? So it's quite a length of time that nothing's been going on. Now, I'm going to say this. Everybody who says, or anybody who says they know exactly what's going to happen in the immediate future does not. This thing is going into some territory where, the equities and both the equities and the bonds are going into a territory where they can have a major correction, but we don't know how high it can go. It's almost like that deal with Bitcoin. It was getting way the hell up there to, $300-400, and it went all the way up to $1,200, right? I mean, it's not going to go like triple like that, but it can go up quite a bit more. But the thing is, it's going to crash that much further. But I actually dovetail a couple things together here, and I'm trying to get some good research out here, responsible research, and I like to see America correct its problems, and I'm not anti-American, and I'm not a flag waver, but let me put it this way: I'm not anti-American either, because I'm not a Russian flag waver, that's for sure. But let me put it this way: it's besides Grantham Management, there's other people that are in the know that have said that there's a pretty good chance of a 40 to 50% correction in the markets, a crash in the markets in the next couple of years. Now, just using some little common sense here, the Obama administration does not want to see the stock markets correct during his administration, because that'll be part of his legacy. And also, I don't think anybody that's incumbent right now wants to see anything correct between the midterm elections in 2014, right? When you got the Congress up for election again. But similarly, also I have to add that, this would be the second longest consecutive bull run in U.S. history, U.S. Stock market history, if it lasts up to July of 2014. So, the longest bull run, I'm repeating this, but I have to rehash this for new people. The longest bull run, the longest consecutive monthly bull run in equities history was in the 20s. It resulted in the 29 crash and a super big crash in 1932 of a 90% correction. And there's also, the second largest one was in October, and that resulted in the 80s, and that resulted in the October 1987 crash, which Mark Farber predicted, by the way. Now, I know they have tools to fix things and prop things up longer, but even that's limited. It's limited, and I'm going to dovetail this into something else. Even that's limited. There's no such thing as this time is different, because everybody thinks it's this time is different, and they always get it wrong for that reason. You got to go with the basic fundamentals of what goes on, in the markets per se, and it's like they're not going to keep going up like tremendous values every year without having a major correction. But what's interesting is that what's been also analyzed is that the stocks and bonds are now so expensive, they are priced worse than they've ever been in performance for the future in history. In other words, they're more expensive than they've ever been in price for like PE ratios and that type of stuff. And they're talking about over the next 10 years, you're probably going to hardly get any kind of return. In other words, they're talking about the projected financial performance for stocks and government bonds and corporate bonds is the lowest it's been since at least 1948. So, I know silver's staying flat, and you don't know what's going on with silver. It's going up a little bit, it's going down a little bit. But it's been my contention all along, and I don't know when this is going to happen. You actually saw silver, oil, gold, and everything get some life during the Crimea crisis. And it's my contention that global political unrest is actually what's going to make these metals fly. But unfortunately, the damn alternative media is going to be cheering the downfall of the United States, and they'll be cheering up Vladimir Putin, who's a thug. That's what the alternative media is going to do. That's really unfortunate, because it's like we're stuck between a rock and a hard place, between the major media and they're whitewashing everything that's going on, and you got the alternative media, which is basically a Russian flag waver. Anything that's anti-U.S., they seem to gravitate towards it, So I'm kind of like, I'm not going to get into any one of those camps, for one, but it does look like, I'm going to say this with the silver deal, though. At this point in time, if you're patient about, if you buy silver at this time and it's not doing much, if you're patient with it, it is going to do well. It's going to break through new all-time highs. At the same time, when that happens, there's going to be some political crisis going on, and I'm going to get into where this is actually coming up. This was an interview with Andrei, I can't even say his name, Illarionov. He was the top economic advisor to Vladimir Putin from 2000 to 2005. So basically 6 years. That's, if you say inclusive years. So he knows a lot of what goes on with Vladimir Putin, how he thinks and everything. Basically, he resigned. I'll give you the get-go on it. He actually resigned because he saw Putin get more and more authoritarian. He's like a totalitarian dictator. He got kind of fed up with that. He says he really got out of it. He wanted to get out of the inner circle when he saw the hostage drama happened when the terrorists seized the school in 2004. And basically Putin attacked the school with tanks, and 331 people lost their lives in the process. That's typically, Putin's style, right? But he's going on to say, this is where I'm going to say that gold and silver is actually going to keep going up because of political crisis. Unfortunately, the damn alternative media is going to keep slamming everything there is in the West about, what they're doing. And actually, the way the West, it's just a cat over here now. Putin a cat driving me nuts here, man. Get out of here, dude. Anyway, he's always coming over by me all the time now. The other guy is too. But anyway, they're like, now he's going in his cage. But anyway, the thing is with Putin, he's not going to. According to this analyst, this guy that knows him very well for 6 years, he was the top economic advisor under Putin from 2000 to 2005 during his early years. He says that Putin's not going to give up in Ukraine. He's going to actually go for eastern Ukraine, southern Ukraine, and he's not going to be stopped. He says actually the only way this guy's going to be stopped is with a big show of force. And, this is how I read Vladimir Putin. He's a thug. He is, man. This guy is not good. He's going to play the card as much as he can. He show any kind of weakness, he's just going to go, hey, thanks, I'll take it. It's mine. He also goes on to state that, Ukraine was basically gave up their nuclear weapons back in the 90s, right? A lot of people don't realize that. They had their own nuclear weapons. And when they gave them up, the West guaranteed Ukraine's security provided they gave up nuclear weapons. So, in other words, they're not really guaranteeing their security. I don't know. I think this guy is going to be totally dead on accurate. Maybe not next week where it's going to happen. But I think Putin is not going to stop with Crimea. He's going to go after other parts of Ukraine. And he's going to basically try to restore the old Soviet Empire one way or the other. Now, I tell you one person I really do think, I think she's a little extreme. she's basically right, though. One person in the alternative media I do respect is Ann Barnhart. I know she's pretty extreme, but the thing is, she's actually sincere. And, a lot of these people are fear mongers for profit in the alternative media. And, she could have took a job with Russia Today playing the game with like some of the other people do, and she didn't. I disagreed with her about, all the brokerage firms being unsafe and everything on a piece of paper being unsafe. That was why she closed her Barnhart Capital Fund, whatever the hell it was. And I don't think well, let me put it this way. Vladimir Putin actually, if there's one guy out there, there probably is. I always hear this stuff about the Antichrist left and right. Well, if there actually is going to be an Antichrist, it is Vladimir Putin. And I'm going to state, I'm actually going to show you a link on something. It's kind of like, gets in all the numerology and all this other stuff with Stalin, Hitler, all this garbage with the Bible. And it's pretty good, but I'm going to say this. The one thing I recognize with Putin, when he sent those troops into Crimea, it's like, no problem, man. He's got direct control over the military, man. He doesn't, it's like if he decided to wake up one day and nuke the crap out of Europe and the United States, he's got the power to do it. He really does. He does. An interesting, Obama made a statement recently about a terrorist, his big worry is about a terrorist nuclear weapon on Manhattan Financial District. I'm thinking to myself, I don't know why you said that, Obama, man. It's not a cool thing to say. But, Vladimir Putin could actually, I'm saying this, and I think people are going to be very pissed off because I think there's a big freaking fanboy club of this guy Putin. It's all the little giddy-minded, weak Americans that are disgusted with what's going on in the United States, so they're getting behind this jerk from freaking Russia that's basically a thug. They're getting behind him like he's a solution. And he's not, man. He's not even close. He's actually going to freaking screw the planet up. That's what I say. But that's probably, when we get into more and more geopolitical tensions, that's where you're going to see your silver and gold go way the hell up. That's when it's going to happen. And, if we ever have this, I don't know what to see. This is the deal. Nobody, flat out nobody knows when there's going to be a market correction in the equities. But they are being pumped up by policies by the government. It's not natural forces per se that's actually keeping up the markets. And it's not like one person saying this. A lot of people are saying this. And, one guy I really respect is Soros. And I don't know how long it's going to take for his bearish bet to play out. But, as far as money goes, Soros is usually he's freaking ain't stupid, man. That guy made money not by inheriting it. He made it by knowing what's going on. He's an insider. But I suspect that the markets are probably going to tumble during the Obama administration. It's going to happen during his administration. That's what I think. Because, the higher it goes, the more it's going to correct. Unfortunately, this damn alternative media is going to be flag-waving Russian flags and Vladimir Putin on and knocking everything in the West. They totally ignore that this guy is a KGB thug. And, I don't know. He's going to keep going. Actually, the Kremlin had a lot to do with fomenting unrest in Ukraine too. And it is very, very, from what this guy's saying here, who supposedly knows Putin for like his first 6 years very well, because he was the top economic advisor for Russia. He knows a lot about what Putin is about. He's getting more and more totalitarian. That's why he got out of his position in government. But he's saying that Putin is not going to stop until somebody shows enough force that it makes him back off. And right now, unfortunately, I hate to freaking say this because the guy Obama is our representative. He's our leader of our country right now, and I don't want to knock the guy for this reason, but it is true that he's projecting weakness. I hope if Putin takes another step, that line that he draws is solid. When Obama draws this line, that it's a line that hey, you step over that line, there's going to be more than sanctions. What should really happen is they need to put more of U.S. fleet in the Black Sea, and if Putin plays games with troops going into Ukraine, they need to freaking do something about it with unmarked troops or whatever the hell you got to do. They need to do it because it ain't going to stop there. It's going to go from one to another till the United States is totally isolated, and then he's going to nuke the crap out of it when there's a big financial problem in the United States, when these freaking markets correct 40 to 50%. When the U.S. is in some kind of weak state, that's when this jerk is going to do something, because he's a freaking thug. It's not like not a pretty choice that people want to hear right now, but can't be playing games with this guy. And a lot of the Russian polls, they always say that the Russian people are 100% behind Putin, or most of the people are behind Putin with this and that. It's hard to say what the hell with those polls are even legit, because how does they we gotta people are scared supposedly to say this and that because of the NSA, right? They got all kinds of people monitoring the Russians over the Russian citizens, so the Russian citizens aren't going to be too vocal about what they don't like going on in that country. You know that, right? You know that. I mean, it's a little common sense. So a lot of times these freaking stupid opinion polls, even in Russia, when they say they support Putin all this way, that, and all this kind of garbage, it's besides the propaganda. I think people are afraid not to support him. I think they are. And the guy's a totalitarian to the max. But what's going to happen is all this political tension is going to be the major catalyst that's going to drive up silver and gold. A lot. And it is going to save your ass financially, because I think a lot of things, I think the dollar is going to get diminished in value when there is going to be a financial crisis. There is. The big problem is we got some freaking totally anti-American people in our alternative media that want to see the West fall, and they're totally on the side of this total freaking dictator to the max, and they're stupid. They're stupid. That's all I got to say, because they're going from one thing that's worst. They're going from one thing that's bad to something that's even worse, and they have no clue. Because we do have a hell of a lot of freedoms in the United States, more than you freaking think. We do. It's like, people aren't really exercising all the freaking powers they have because they just sit on their dead ass and don't bother to do anything about it. But that's probably how it's going to play out. Like the equities, nobody knows when that curve is going to hit maximum, whatever the hell it is, and they have a major correction. Nobody knows this exactly. I personally have a lot of faith in George Soros when he makes his bet. He did this bearish bet, and he actually increased his bearish bet in 2014. He did his huge bearish bet on the S&P in August of 2013. He increased it in 2014. It seems like it's taken forever to play out, but when it does, it's the longer it takes. I wish they'd kind of like defuse the markets a little bit at a time. The longer it takes, the more catastrophic it's going to be. Now, the Russian markets, the ruble has been down for like the last year. I think it's 37 ruble to the dollar now. It's like the ruble's getting trashed for over the last 12 months. The Russian markets are down, I think, 23% just in 2014 alone. So, maybe when the American markets make a correction, I don't know, maybe the Russian markets might go up a little bit. I don't know. But, I really can't stand these freaking alternative media yo-yos out there because they have absolutely no clue what they're actually demanding when they're saying we need a freaking dictator like Putin to straighten our country out. There is no constitution in Russia like there is in the United States. There is no limited government. And I guess I should finish this up with this because human nature is pretty much the same throughout the world. The founding fathers, when they made the United States structure of government, they made it so they know that people are greedy, and the most greedy people and the worst people tend to gravitate to the most power. What they did was to try to have a whole pile of systems of checks and balances and limited government, and also as a backstop, the Bill of Rights, which is the law of the land, which enables the people to say that this is actually in the Constitution of the United States, that we have these inalienable rights. I know they're not granted by the government, but they're in the law that gives the individual a lot more power. It's not like that in Russia. Vladimir Putin is the law. But I'm just saying, I'm bringing this up because the geopolitical tensions are not going to end with the Crimea. They might end with the Crimea right now temporarily for the next several weeks, but something else is going to come up. This guy is not going to give up power at all. Not at all. And he's going to keep going for more and more. And unfortunately, I wish Obama, I hope he does get a lot stronger on this stuff because this guy Putin really needs to be stopped cold right from the beginning. Right from the beginning. Even if it means war. It shouldn't have to mean war. It's just a show of strength would do it. But the show of strength means you're going to use it if you need to. If you need to. And that's the only way to stop this guy, because I think this guy eventually is going to hit the West when the West is weak with a financial problem. That's what he's waiting for. He's going to wait till you're weak, and he's going to screw you up. And I don't know, these stupid alternative media, man, they're freaking idiots. And like I said, the one exception I'll give out there is Ann Barnhart. She may be a bit extreme, but she's 100% true in her heart to her cause. And unlike the rest of them, the rest of them are pretty much just drama freaks for profit, scaring the crap out of people. I'm being a realist about this crap. So, people don't like me saying about Vladimir Putin's an evil bastard. He is an evil bastard, man. And actually, I'm going to put a video on it, a link to a video. You can watch it if you're into all this stuff with the numerology and the religion. The guy might be the Antichrist. For all I'm concerned, the guy basically is. He's a bad guy. When he gets backed into a corner, he's never going to give up power. Never. Not in a million years. I read this guy like a book, man. I know what he's about. So anyway, over and out. So just hold on. Your silver, which is kind of boring, is going to play out 100 times better than equities. So hang on, Dan. That's all I say.